Hey there, and what's up? Welcome to my channel. I'm Tara, your personal growth coach, here to help you take on your days without having any of those emotional breakdowns and embrace your true balanced badass self. On this channel, I teach strategies for balancing it all with confidence and clarity so that you can laugh it off, have a good time, and live your best life. If any of that resonates with you and sounds good, be sure to hit subscribe so that way you don't miss any of my future videos or content. So today we are talking about work-life balance because that is something that we all need, and I feel like that's something that we're all chasing. But I'm not going to give you any of that fluffy stuff. I'm really just focusing on 5 no BS hacks so that you can try to incorporate a little bit more work life balance into your routines. I know it's hard to chase it. It feels like it's a freaking unicorn and it doesn't actually exist. But hopefully, by implementing these 5 tricks and tips, you'll be able to feel a little more balanced than you're currently feeling. So let's jump into it. My first hack is for all of my fellow remote workers. This also works for anyone that's kind of working that hybrid experience where you go to the office a few days a week, work from home a few days a week. And it's still relevant for any of you that actually have to go to work every single day in an office. Sorry about that. I feel bad. I feel for you, although some people love it. I am talking about the commute. So I know when I had my in-office job, I dreaded the commute. And honestly, my commute wasn't that bad. It was probably like 20 minutes max. I know my husband currently has an hour-long commute in total each way. So that's 2 hours every day. And it can totally be a drag. But it turns out that those commutes actually exist. Well, they exist because you have to get to work. But those commutes actually did you some good because they helped you transition into work mode. And then also, probably just as important, they helped you transition out of work mode. So if you no longer have that actual commute to and from an office, you can still bring back the elements of that commute. You can take a walk around the block at the end of the day or before you start work. You can make sure that you do whatever you need to do to like shut your computer down, have some sort of ritual to close out your day. For me to start my day, I really like to listen to a podcast, have a little bit of coffee before I just jump into the office and really start getting to work. The whole point is to create those moments of transition and to find what helps you mentally, physically, and emotionally transition into work and then transition out of work. That's what the key point is with that kind of fake commute, if you will, is to bring that back into your life. So that way you're not just like bouncing from here and there like Tigger. You're actually having some intentionality into transitioning into different parts of your day. And why does this work? Well, it works because our brains need some sort of signal to make that switch and to switch gears. It also helps with setting boundaries, especially for my remote workers that are working from home. It is very hard to keep those boundaries separate from personal and professional. So for me, I really try not to step into my office during my like off time, during my personal time. I really try to keep my office for work only because that helps my brain know the difference between when I'm kind of in my downtime and when I'm trying to ramp up and be productive. So for you, make sure that you try different things and activities to help you with that transition to see what works for you. It may be listening to a podcast. It may be taking that walk or that loop around the block. Like at the end of the day, I know, like to my brain, I've signaled that it's the end of the day when I take my dogs outside. They also are in a routine and they know when that needs to happen. So they make sure to remind me to wrap up the day. The whole point is to figure out what works best for you that helps your brain know, like I said, when it needs to start firing up and then when it needs to start cooling down to help you get ready for the end of the day, to help you decompress, and to help you keep those separations between work and personal life. All right, hack number 2 is that do not disturb feature that exists on our devices. I know that you are probably thinking there's no way that I can use this, but just hear me out on this because your time is precious. It is a valuable resource that you have limited quantities of. You only have 24 hours in a day, and you want to have control over that time. You don't want someone else, something else, notifications, emails, pings, texts, social media notifications, all of that to have control of your time. So I always like to set my do not disturb when I know that I want to do my power hour. And as a reminder on that, my power hour is when I spend an hour of my time very centrally focused on the one thing that I need to get done that day. I set a timer for an hour, I turn off my notifications, and I get to work. This is so important because I'm not tempted to look at my phone. I don't get the buzz on my Apple Watch. I know that I can really sit down and just knock some shit out. And the point of that is because the dopamine hit that we get from a distraction keeps us from keeping our flow. So in that power hour, I'm more likely to get in flow. And if anything breaks that flow, it's going to be very hard and take a long time to get back into it. I know you may be concerned that what if something important or urgent happens? And believe me, that is something that I think about all the time, especially as my mother is aging. I want to make sure that I'm available whenever she might need me. So there is a way to create specific contacts within your do not disturb settings that no matter if you have it set on do not disturb, they can still get through to you. So you would still get those emergency notifications. Knowing that has helped ease my mind as well when I do set my do not disturb. Another thing that's so important too with do not disturb, not just for work, but thinking about this work life balance is if you have a work phone or if you tend to get a lot of notifications on your personal phone after hours for work, perhaps consider setting a do not disturb feature during certain times at the end of the day when you're starting your personal time, because this helps you stay away from the lure and call of Slack messages and emails, and you don't feel that tug to respond even if you do get an email. Because let me tell you, it takes a shit ton of self-discipline to check a work email and not feel the urge to respond. Believe me, I know this is something I personally struggle with. So do not disturb definitely helps in that feature. So give that hack a try and see if that works for you. Try it for a week, try it for a few days, and see if you've noticed any difference in how your work life balance is feeling. Okay, so hack number 3 that I have for you is the power of the no sandwich. This just means, I'm sure we've heard of like a compliment sandwich, like when you're giving feedback, you start with something positive, then you give the critical feedback, and then you wrap it up with something positive. This is very similar, where you're going to start with a positive comment or response whenever you receive a request. Then you'll give your no with courtesy and kindness and grace, and then you'll kind of end it on a more positive note as well. So you can always start with something small. Like if a friend asks you out for lunch or for dinner, but you're just not feeling it, then you can certainly say, like, I really appreciate the offer. I'd love to spend time with you. I'm just swamped right now. Can we schedule for next week? That gives you the practice of doing that no sandwich where you have a little bit of positive at the beginning. You thank them for the request. You give them the no. It helps you practice saying no, which is so, so important. Work life balance has so much to do with the boundaries that you set for yourself and how consistently you hold them and how consistently you stay true to your own boundaries and the promises that you're making to yourself. And so you do that, you say the no, then you go on to say another positive piece. Because remember, if you are saying yes to everything, you are just going to feel overwhelmed, overcommitted, overworked, stressed, and burnt out. And chances are, if you're watching this video, you may already be feeling some of that, or you at least know what that feeling is like. So, this gives you that practice of setting the boundaries so that way you're not overcommitting. And the things that you're committing to, you know, you have the time, space, and capacity to be able to do those things. That's what's important with work life balance, is to recognize and know our limits, know your non-negotiables, know when you are reaching your capacity, and know how to communicate that with others. This is the key point. You can't hold a boundary and just keep it to yourself, because people are just going to keep coming at you with request after request. You have to communicate your boundaries, and this just gives you a way and a strategy for communicating that boundary. Now we're on to hack number 4, and that is to embrace the micro break. I think in our hustle culture right now, we are told that, or at least conditioned, maybe not told, we're conditioned that taking breaks means that you're a slacker or you're lazy, but it's quite the opposite, because even just a short 5-minute micro break can do wonders for your productivity, especially when you feel like you're starting to hit that wall. If you're hitting the afternoon slump around 2 or 3 p.m., that's a sign. There's probably a lot of root causes to that, but that's a sign that taking a little break is going to really help you rejuvenate. And I'm not talking about anything fancy, like get up from your desk. And I think this is so important. Step away from your desk. You can't take a break properly from work if you're still sitting at your desk. And I mean that because you're going to be tempted to look at something on your computer. So just push away from the desk, step away. Hell, even walk out of the office and shut the door if you need to take that break. Give yourself some movement, do some physical activity. Go get a glass of water and drink it for 5 minutes. I also sometimes will just shut my eyes, take a little breather. I set a timer and I take a little 5 minute, not snooze because you're not falling asleep, but just a 5 minute moment of quiet and peace to help my brain settle down a little bit and allow it to then ramp up again for the next kind of piece of work. What you can do with this, and I've talked a bit about this in the past, but you can do what's called the Pomodoro technique. The traditional Pomodoro technique is where you work for 25 minutes, then you take a 5-minute break. So you keep repeating those sprints of 25 minutes on of work, 5 minutes of break. That's helpful and good. You can also just do it every hour. I set a timer for every single hour to get up and move my body for 5 minutes. Sometimes I'll stretch, sometimes I hop on my walking pad, sometimes I go outside, take the dogs out. Like I said, sometimes I just shut my eyes. But the key important is to move away from your desk. Get out of the work environment for just 5 minutes and see how much it does for your energy, for your productivity, and for your focus. And now, my last hack for you is the Sunday prep. This, for me, is such a game changer. And I know I talk sometimes about prepping for your week on Friday at the end of the day. And I think that that's important because that helps you reflect, and you're kind of in the moment of what happened that week so that you can prep for the next week. But doing just 30 minutes of setting up your week on Sunday is going to do wonders for you for your work life balance. One, because you've had time to really think about what you accomplished the week prior. Even if you're not like actively thinking about it, chances are your subconscious is processing all the things that happened last week. And so things will come to mind that you might not have thought of, or they may not be a priority anymore based on just the span of time that has occurred. So that gives you the chance to really think about how you want your week to look, coming forward. I hesitate to plan for the entire week because we all know things happen, life happens. Chances of you being able to plan all the way through Friday are pretty slim. Um, so I really try to focus on just Monday through Wednesday. So get me through the first half of the week, get me ready to kind of approach my work. But I also use the Sunday prep to help me prep personally for the week. Maybe that's meal planning or meal prepping. I personally hate meal prepping. I don't like to cook, but I think it's so important to do something that helps you prepare for the week. It may be doing laundry. It may be planning out some social activities, whatever that looks like for you. The key here is to just take that small amount of time, 30 minutes on Sunday. Avoid the Sunday scaries. Okay. This helps you avoid those because the Sunday scaries come from the anxiety of what's to come, the not knowing, the anticipation of what the week could look like. So, this gives you just a little sense of control over what Monday is going to be. So, this way you can do what you can to avoid those Sunday scaries because you're ready to tackle Monday knowing at least the plan that you have for the first few days of the week. All right, friend, because I love you so, so much, I have a bonus hack for you. And that's really just to automate and delegate like a freaking pro. And the reason that I wanted to bring this up is because you can't do it all alone. Now, I'm going to repeat this in another way. You shouldn't have to do it all by yourself. And the reason why I'm saying this too is because there are tools, there is technology, there are people that exist out there in the world to help you in this process. That's the only way that you're able to balance it all, is to find what helps you balance it all. So research some tools, some technology that might help you with some of those tasks, those mundane tasks that could be automated. It might be something to do with your email management, might be something to do with your scheduling, whatever that looks like. Just find some tools that will help you with the automation piece. And then thinking about delegation. What are some tasks that you just don't want to do, hate doing, or take up too much time to do? Are there people in your household that can help you with those tasks? Like my husband is great at helping me with vacuuming because I just don't want to do it. So that's kind of a chore that he takes on in our household to lighten the load a little bit. I mentioned earlier, I don't like to cook. Well, I also don't like to grocery shop. And while I wish I could hire a personal chef that could cook me dinner every day, that's just not the reality of my situation. But I can use grocery pickup as an option to help lighten my load. All I have to do is show up in the parking lot, someone brings out my groceries, I go home and I unload the groceries. It makes it so much easier so I don't dread it, so I don't put it off. Now, if I could find someone to do my laundry every week, that would also be a huge win, but we can't have it all, can we? The whole point here is to find something that's going to make your life easier. Find people that will help you, find tools that will help you, technology that you can use to your advantage to lighten the load so that you can spend your time and energy focusing on the things that you actually want to. Well, that's that 5 no BS hacks for upping your work life balance, plus a little bonus tip because, like I said, I love you, friend. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you would give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to my channel for more content, and also consider sharing this video with a friend who could use a little more work-life balance in their lives. If you have a tip or a hack of your own that you use for bettering your own work-life balance, share them in the comments because we can keep this conversation going as long as we want to. And with that, I just want to thank you for being here. As always, I appreciate your time, your attention, and your energy. And I just want to remind you to stay balanced, stay badass, and make good choices. I'll see you next week, friend.